Hi, thank you for your question. So I had my son 12 years ago. This is prior to my transition, but I started transitioning when he was really young. He was like about 3 years old, I think a little younger. And if you had to ask me this question 10 years ago at the beginning of my transition, I would have said no, I did not feel like a mother when I had my son or when I brought him home. Part of this is due to the fact that back then, well, even now, it's actually kind of rare to meet a trans man who has like a biological child. I would say it's definitely more common than it was back then. Like at least like I'm mutuals with people, like I can reach out to people who have biological children as trans men. I did not have anybody at first. I did not know anybody I could talk to about it. I thought that the unique experiences, and I say that in air quotes because I don't really think they're unique experiences when it comes to like my pregnancy, giving birth, stuff like that. I would have definitely attributed it to being a trans man because all of the things that mothers would tell me that I was going to feel, I did not feel. And sometimes it's frustrating for me to talk about this because a lot of people will insinuate, oh, well, you must have had postpartum. And listen, I am not saying this because I'm afraid of stigma. As you know, I come on here, I talk about some pretty intense topics. Stigma is not something I shy away from. But I get frustrated when people say that because I feel like they're not listening to what I'm saying. When I had my son, I wasn't in a great situation. However, I was excited to be a parent. Like, I was excited about the journey. I was happy to meet my son. But mothers would always tell me when I was pregnant, oh, when you look at that baby, everything's gonna change for you. It's like you'll just know your reason for existing, like stuff like that, like real intense shit, you know what I mean? And I did not feel that. Honestly, I did not feel that. Like I said, I was excited. I was happy. But did I look at my son and think, oh my God, you're my reason for everything? No, I didn't. That doesn't mean I don't love my son. It doesn't mean that, I'm not a good parent. But honestly, I did not feel that. And for a long time, I thought that's because I'm trans. I thought that there must have been like a disconnect because I'm a trans man, even though I was pre transition. I thought that like maybe that contributed to why I didn't feel this intense connection that other mothers felt. And what solidified this for me is actually I got reached out to by another trans man, and it was like such an eye opening experience. They also had a biological child like before they transitioned, and their birth experience, like it was just so similar to mine. Like the emotions they felt, it was like they were like reading my story, but they were telling theirs. It was crazy. So like I said, that solidified for me like this has to be like a part of being a trans man. Like this has to be something I experience because I'm trans. That's the reason why I can't relate to what other mothers are saying, because maybe I don't feel like a mother. And even though my view is different now, I still like literally hold that communication so close to me that I had with that person, because they made me feel like I was not alone at a time where I had nobody to talk to about this. But now, years later, even though it's still kind of rare to, like meet trans men with biological children, it's not as uncommon as it was before. And I've been able to witness that, like, not every birthing and pregnancy experience for trans men is the same, of course. So now I feel less like, that I didn't feel a certain way because I'm not a mother or I don't feel like a mother. And I feel more so that society puts so much pressure on moms to, like, view things a certain way, behave a certain way, speak a certain way, that if they don't, it's meant to be shameful. They're meant to feel guilt and shame. My son's father has since passed away, and we definitely did not always see eye to eye. He was not always a safe person. However, this is actually something he did help me with, because I remember one time I was feeling really upset, and I broke down and I told him, I'm just not feeling these emotions that like moms are telling me I'm supposed to feel, like that it's like love at first sight, and like, you know what I mean? And he's like, of course you don't love him. You just met him. And I was like, yeah, but moms are always saying, like, you just know your life's meaning when you look in the eyes of your child. You know what I mean? And he was like, they say that because that's what they're supposed to say. But I think he's absolutely right. I do view myself as a mother in terms of like I, was pregnant with my son. I gave birth to him. But overall, I generally align more with just feeling like a parent. But I do believe that the emotions I felt when I had my son, or didn't feel when I had my son, definitely didn't make me more or less of a mother at all. But I think that that's what they want to sell people. Because primarily, and I know people are going to get pissed about this, but primarily women are the ones who give birth. Yes, trans people can give birth, but it's more common for cis women to give birth. And society wants women to be absolutely consumed by motherhood so that they can do nothing further with their lives. I think that this is such a flawed outlook. Anytime I find myself personally becoming like overly involved in in, my son's life over mine, I actually reel myself back in because it should be no child's responsibility to, like, save their parent or like anchor them in with a place in the world. That is way too much pressure for a child to carry, in my opinion. Thank you for your question.